Hello and welcome. Today I'd like to introduce to you Electrokristron Automatic ChangeOver Switch, which automatically changes over from public mains to generator or from generator to public mains depending on power availability. Now this unit has two main functions. It can either change over automatically from one power source to the other, or it will change over and at the same time stop your generator or start it accordingly. There are two switches on the front, as you can see, which allows you to select which of the functions you need. The switch on the left, which is this one, is essentially for engaging or disengaging the public mains if it is available. In the off position, even if the public mains is available, it doesn't allow the public mains to connect to your load, which means that it doesn't engage the public mains to feed your load. But if you leave the switch on, then as soon as public mains is available, it allows the public mains to connect automatically to your load. Alright, now the second function, which is different from the automatic changing over function, has to do with the control of your generator, the ignition of your generator per se. Now what that means is that if you decide to have your gen start automatically as soon as power fails, then putting this switch in the AutoStart position will allow your generator to start automatically as soon as public power fails. Or if you want, you can decide to put it in the manual mode so that the gen will not start unless you have to start it on your own. Okay, now the third position, which is the stop mode, is for a running gen to stop when you want it to stop. Ordinarily, your generator should stop as soon as public mains is restored, irrespective of the position you have set this switch on, whether in the auto mode, in the manual mode, or in the stop mode. Of course, in the stop mode, your gen will not even be running in the first place. But if you are put it in the auto start mode, it means your gen must have started automatically when power failed. Now, if you have to stop it, you either stop it by yourself manually, or the gen stops automatically as soon as public mains is restored. Now, looking at the unit, we can find the features. You can find some of the external features easily. Here I have two fuses feeding the internal circuitry of the system as a way of protecting it. The miniature fuses are easy to come by and should in case there is an issue with the system, you can easily open the fuse points to check what the problem might be, if the fuse is faulty or something. Now, if your fuse is not broken, your automatic changeover should function without any problem. On the other side, which is actually the upper side of the unit, we can find the generator input terminals going in through there, and then of course the mains input terminals, which means that your supply from the mains should come in through here, and the one for generator should go in through there. Now again, at the other side we have the load out terminals going to your load or equipment in the house. Now this one here is, as you can see, is smaller. When you compare the two, you see this is bigger than that. Now this smaller port is for the tiny wires that will go from the ATS unit, from the changeover unit to your generator, so as to be able to start and stop your gen automatically. Now on this side, I have some items to allow me demonstrate how this unit works, and then for us to know how this particular interesting switch works. So in a moment, I'm going to connect them for us to see how everything works together. Now before I go on, I'd like to point this out that we'll be using this to mimic power supply from mains. Power supply from mains, because this extension box has been connected to the main socket of the house. So from here we should have mains. Now this one here is actually an inverter. It's a very interesting device because it is so small it can actually fit in your pocket. It is a special inverter, which you can take around and use for various purposes, as far as you don't exceed the load rating. So in this case, we'll be using this to power our generator side. We'll be using it alongside this battery to power our generator side, so that we can have power coming in through the generator side, while this other one will be used to power the mains side. So as you can see, this is going to run as an independent power supply. And then of course I have some other items here which we are going to use to see how this switch operates. Alright, now we are done. We have all the connection in place, or at least almost all the connection in place. We have the connection of mains, the mains wire to the main socket. The main socket, that is, the socket has been, the extension box has been connected to the mains of the building. We'll be taking our mains from here. Now for the inverter. The inverter unit has been connected to the battery, and so you can see the indicator is on, but we are here to connect our generator cable to the inverter, which we're using in this case to mimic generator supply. Now these three indicators are because they're actual indicators. We are using them to represent our generator ignition system, because the changeover will be issuing some commands out through the positioning of this switch. The positioning of this switch will determine the sort of command that the changeover unit will send out to the ignition system of the generator. So with these indicators, we'll be able to see what happens on the generator end, as the interaction between main supply and generator occurs. We the first thing we're going to do is to turn this switch, this AutoStart switch, from the manual position to the auto. But before we do that, let's take a look at the indicators again. You can see the indicators, none of them is coming up. None is coming up, which means that at the moment no instruction, no command is being sent from the changeover to your generator. Now the moment you put the switch on AutoStart, see what happens. Okay, the switch is now on auto. Two commands out to your generator. Okay, now the first one says crank generator. That is, little children will say shun, 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 you know, which means to roll the engine, to kick start the engine. And then of course there is another command which is run. Run is the one that powers the fuel system, so that the fuel valves can be opened for fuel to supply into the generator ignition system. Okay, now the moment you switch on the AutoStart switch, the commands are given to your generator to start, provided there is a link wire that has been run from the automatic changeover to wherever you have positioned your generator. So this will actually connect with the key or ignition system of the generator. Okay, so these commands mean that the generator should start. Now, we have said that we are using this as our generator. So now power is coming, because when you start generator, it will rev up and it will start supplying power. Okay, so power has come. We can see generator is on, and then of course load is also on. This is our load. This is our load, which is a 220 volts AC bulb. AC means alternating current. You know, in the field of electrical science, there are two types of ACs. It's either you are saying AC for alternating current, or you mean air conditioner. But we're not talking about air conditioner now. We're talking about alternating current, 220 volts AC. Okay, I'm going to repeat this process because something happened while we were turning on the generator. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to disconnect the generator or turn off the generator, as the case may be. Now I need you to monitor what happens between these two indicators as I move again to connect my generator. In other words, I want to have supply from my generator. Now the plug is going in. Are we ready to see what happens between the crank and run commands? The crank goes off automatically. Okay, the crank goes off automatically, which means that the command that runs your Kickstarter to start the engine, immediately the engine starts and starts supplying current to the house. The command to crank the engine stops. For clarity purposes, I'm going to run that again. I'm going to run the demo again. First, power from generator goes off. Okay, because the switch has been set in auto mode, the command to start the generator automatically takes effect. Okay, now to see if that is actually the case, I'll be turning this off to the manual position. In the manual position, the indicators both go off, which means that the changeover unit is not sending any start command to your generator at this moment. Okay, but the moment you turn it on, the start command are sent. The start command in this case are two. You know, one is crank, one is run. But it is not all generators that take the two commands at the same time. Some actually take only one. Okay, but before we go into what type of generator will take one and what type will take the two, I'm going to connect the generator supply again for us to see what happens with the crank and run indicators. Okay, here we go. Okay, trying to get that in. Alright, I'm ready. Okay, the crank indicator has gone off again automatically, which means that your generator has, the cranking of your generator has stopped because you have power supply to the house. So now I'm going to leave this generator running. That plug has not gone in properly. I want to push it in properly. Okay, I think we have it on now. Now, in this particular scenario, we see that your gen is running. That's the meaning of run, because your gen is on, it is operating, it is running. Now, if all the while, that is while you are running your generator, mains power fails to come and you need to go to bed, which means that you need to turn off for some people, they have to turn off the gen before going to bed. For some, they prefer to enjoy the comfort of AC, that's air conditioner and fan, through the power supply of the generator for as long as they want. So they may decide to leave the generator on for the whole night. But suppose you need to actually turn off the generator, manually. There are two ways. It's either you go and turn off the gen directly at the generator house, or you can decide to turn it off right from here, okay, by moving the switch from the AutoStart position to the manual position or to the stop position. Whether you are using the manual position to stop your gen or you are using the stop position to turn your gen off will depend on the type of generator configuration you have, the type of ignition system your generator has. But in this case, let us just imagine that your gen has the run function only. The moment you turn the switch away from the AutoStart position, your generator run indicator goes off, which means that the command to keep running your gen is disengaged. Your generator must go off, and in which case our artificial generator goes off. Sorry for my use of the term artificial generator, because I don't have a gen in-house here which we can use right now for the demo. That's why I'm using inverter. So I have to, of course, inverters don't have auto start or auto off function like generators, so I have to manually pull the cord. Alright, that said, now I need to show something else. Suppose, for instance, your gen was running. Suppose your gen was running. Okay. Don't forget, we have the gen control switch in the manual position, and as you can see, all the indicators are off, which means that the gen has been started manually. That's the meaning, that's the whole essence of the manual position. It means that instead of starting your generator from the system itself, you can actually walk over to where your gen is placed and start it right from the gen house or through a remote control that has been supplied with your generator, which means that in this case you have full control of your generator, either starting or stopping. You have full control of it. You can start it anytime you want. You can also stop it anytime you want. Suppose, for instance, you are going out and nobody will be in. Maybe you are going to church or to the office and you don't want your gen to start whenever you are not around. Just put it in the manual position. If anybody wants to use the gen, in an emergency situation, then they can walk over to where the gen is placed and start it manually. And then as soon as they are done, they can turn it off manually just as well. But putting this in the auto mode position would mean that as soon as mains fails, your gen will start automatically, and of course if mains comes back, it will stop by itself. Now let us see if truly the gen will stop by itself if mains is restored. Like I said, we are using this extension box to represent mains, so I want to restore mains now. Okay, mains has been restored. Now let's see what happens. Okay. Now first thing that happened was that the mains power, after some initial delay of a few seconds, typically 7 seconds, the power was transferred to the load, and then the command to stop the generator came from the ATS, and the generator indicator for run went off. Now we now see that a new indicator has come up, the red indicator for stop. Now this is for those types of generators that don't use the run command. So actually two things happened when the power was restored, when the mains power was restored. The first thing that happened was, apart from the changing over itself, the first thing that happened was the run command went off, and then the second one was that the stop command came on. How does this affect your kind of generator? Let's repeat the process again so we can understand exactly what we're talking about. First, mains is taken off. Okay. Mains is taken off. Okay. Now mains is restored. A few seconds lapse, and then the run command goes off, stop command comes on shortly. Okay, so we can see that there is some form of interaction, automated interaction between the power supplies and then the commands being issued to the gen ignition system. Now don't forget, normally this green indicator for the generator should go off too, because power has been restored, and then of course when you have power from the mains, you don't expect your generator to keep running except you instructed the unit to keep your gen running. And how do you do that? By turning the main switch off. Now when you turn the main switch off, the indicator here, the red indicator, will still indicate that mains has been restored, but because you disengaged it from feeding your load, you can see the load indicator is on right now. It's not being fed by the main supply, but it's being fed by the generator. To confirm that, I'm going to pull the generator supply code now. As you can see, the generator supply cord has been pulled and the generator indicator has gone off. Likewise the load, even though we still have mains supply, indication. Alright, but the moment you connect this back by switching it on, after a couple of seconds, the load indicator comes on. Alright, so now we have mains on. You can see the mains supply is on, and then supplies to the load. But if you cut this off, then mains goes off, and then the AutoStart switch instructs your generator to start automatically. But as soon as power is restored, there is an initial delay to take care of transient or surge, power surge, for those few seconds when power has just been restored. Now power has been supplied to the load, and then your gen has gone off. The run command has stopped, and then the stop command has come on. Okay, so the unit is actually so easy. we already understand what this one does. It allows you to program the changeover to disallow mains from coming into your load or equipment. You could have a number of reasons why you want to do that. For instance, if the mains keeps coming and going erratically, and then you have to your business or viewing pleasure or any other thing you're doing is interrupted because of the erratic power supply, then you may want to just cut off the nuisance that the erratic power supply is causing, and then of course you allow your generator to operate instead for as long as the problem exists until there's a solution. Okay, now I need to explain how these three indicators or commands, how they actually work with your generator. The first thing I need to say is that there are actually different types of generators, and when we talk about different types of generators, I'm not talking about the shape or the size or capacity of the generator now, because of course that is common knowledge, but I am actually talking about the configuration of the ignition systems in those generators. Okay, this automatic changeover is so versatile, you can actually use it with any type of generator ignition system that your gen may have, which means that it will control your generator, whatever type of generator it is, based on certain conditions, and I'm going to explain those conditions to you now. Now, it is not necessary that you connect the three lines, all the three lines to your gen. Your gen may require just one of them, only this one for instance. This one is for computerized, or let me call it generators with computerized control system, which is often called controller module, digital controller module. Okay, now this type of generator are called type 1 generators. As you can see, type 1 generators with automatic electronic controller module. These are, you can see the pictures. These are sample pictures or images. All you do is just to press the button on the controller module. The red is to stop your gen, the green is to start it. Most of these modules also have an additional button for auto mode. Apart from the manual starting and stopping of the gen, you can actually put them in automatic mode so that your changeover unit can start them automatically. That's an example of such a generator, soundproof generator. These are popular generators. Now such a generator will have button for starting, button for stopping. It will have auto mode or remote start, which will be connected to your automatic changeover, so that the changeover can take full control of the starting and stopping of the generator accordingly. Now such generators will have kickstarter, and they will also have fuel pump. The kickstarter will crank the engine to start. The fuel pump will supply fuel to the system for as long as you need the gen to be on. So everything has been automated. The only thing left is just for the automatic changeover to send the run command to the remote start terminal of the control module. If you ask your electrician, your generator technician, they will explain better how to locate the remote start terminals on most of these modules. Anyway, they are labeled, so it shouldn't be a problem. So on the generator control module, you locate the remote start terminal and connect the run wires from the ATS, from the changeover to your generator, and it should run fine without any problem. Now for this type of generator, Electrokristron automatic changeover system will start them automatically, and it will also stop them automatically. So for that type of generator we're talking about, you need only the run command. only the run command line is needful to control that generator. Now, to talk about the other types, we have the one we call type 2. Type 2 generators, they are generators with key start controller. Key, you use key to start them, not button. Alright, you start them with key. You need the key to turn them on or to run. You need the key to start. So the key actually has about 3 positions. Off position, it has off position, it has on or run position, then it has start position, just like you start a car and then you leave the key to return to the run or on position. It's very, very popular with generators that you have to operate with key. Such generators, they have kickstarter, they also have fuel pump. You need the crank control on the Electrokristron automatic changeover to the crank wiring of the ignition key. You also need the run command from the Electrokristron changeover switch to be connected to the on or run key wiring on the generator. This type of generators, the automatic changeover can start them, you can also stop them automatically. That is for the type 2. You can see some examples. You can see the meter dials and the key somewhere there, the key system there, and then here you have the key, the key system is there, apart from the dials and the 2 indicators, red and green indicators there. You can see the key in the middle for starting and stopping the gen. That's for type 2. For the type 2 generator, you are going to need run and crank indicators, or better yet, run and crank control lines to be connected to the ignition key of the generator, so that you have something like this to start the gen. As soon as the gen has started, the crank command will go off. The crank command will go off. Now, the third type of generator we want to talk about is the type of generator or generators with special key start functions. There are certain certain generators that actually require the 3 different control lines to be connected for that gen to work properly with the automatic changeover system. You need to connect both the crank, the run lines, and then of course the stop lines. All the 3 have to be connected for that type or model of generator to work properly with the automatic changeover system. Now, this type is not so common, but once in a while they are discovered. Such generators are discovered that actually require all the lines to be connected for them to work or stop accordingly. An example is Hyundai. You can see the picture of the generator. Hyundai 55F. It is not a common case, but occasionally we do come across such generators. For this type of generator, the automatic changeover can start them and it can also stop them, because all that they require to be, all the kinds of commands they require to start or stop are available with the automatic changeover system from Electrokristron. Now, this type of generator will actually require the 3 of these to work with it. It requires the crank, the run, and the stop lines. All the three will be needed. Now we move from 3 to 4, the fourth type of generator ignition system. This will be generators with key or switch operated electric starts. Generators with key or switch operated electric starts. Now these are generators with battery and kickstart, which you can start with key or you can start with switch. Alright, depending on the model and design of the generator. Now the start wiring of the key will go to the crank control line of the automatic changeover. Then the on of the key wiring, you can see there is a dash there, which means it won't be needed. The on wiring will not be needed. And actually on the generator with such configurations, you discover that the on wiring is actually there, is not connected to anything. We call them NC line, not connected. They are just there, they are not doing anything. They are not serving any purpose. In some generators, that slot is actually empty on the key, connector. There is no wire on that particular point. Okay, so that's why you have a dash there. There's nothing to be connected for on. It doesn't require on, wiring, but it has off wiring for stopping the gen. Okay, so although the key itself on the unit has 3 positions. It has start, it has on, it has off position. The actual wirings inside the generator, the actual wirings are just for start and off, which in this case is crank and stop. Okay, we are not concerned with the on wiring because it doesn't really require on wiring. So for that kind of generator, Electrokristron automatic changeover can start them, especially if your gen has auto choke, automatic choke that doesn't require user intervention. It can start automatically. It will also stop automatically. All right. Now we move from the 4th type to the 5th type. This is a popular type, common with barbers, and small shops. They call them I pass my neighbor. Some actually use them for their residential goods too, such as fans and television. They are very, very popular in the Nigerian market. Okay, these types of generators don't have starter. You have to pull them to start. You have to pull the starter, the recoil starter. These are generators with recoil starter only. They don't have electric starter, so you have to pull the recoil starter for them to start. Now once they have started, to turn them off you need to press the on and off switch available on the panel to be able to stop them. So for such generators that require mechanical intervention from the user, the automatic changeover cannot start such generators. You can't start them, but you can stop them. You can stop such a generator. All that is required is just to connect the keys, the wires on the off switch. It's just to connect them to the stop control line of the automatic changeover. And for such generators, only the stop control line will be needful, to be connected to such a generator. Only the stop control line will be needful. Okay, we won't be concerned about the run and the crank. All we need is just the stop control, and then of course the gen will stop. And then finally we have the other type that cannot be started or stopped by the automatic changeover. This is also a very popular type in the villages especially. It is called a lister engine, but not all listers are designed this way. Some actually have electric starters. Now this type, you have to wind them, you have to wind them mechanically, turn them to start the engine. You have to close the fuel valve to stop the engine. It doesn't have electric kickstarter, it doesn't have electric fuel pump. For this type, the Electrokristron automatic changeover cannot start them, neither can it stop them. You have to, interfere and start or stop them manually. Generators with mechanical start and stop only. Alright. So as you can see, whatever type of generator you have, we have, apart from the type that you have to wind to start, we have all the necessary configurations, all the necessary control wires for you to be able to start or stop them, manually or automatically. If you have the gen running originally, you can actually stop it from, here by turning the off switch. Your gen goes off, your gen goes off. But if you have it in the manual position, then you can start your gen and stop it right from the gen itself, from the location of the gen. You don't have to, you don't have to come here, just go straight to the gen, start it from there or stop it from there. But if you put it in the auto mode, then of course the gen starts automatically and stops automatically. Alright, thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll be coming up with some new videos shortly. Videos that will explain the workings of some of our other products, such as Electrokristron automatic phase changer, which changes phase from a dead phase or a failing phase to a good phase. This is common with PSM cutouts, where you have to pull the cutout from one phase to the other. Okay. Now we also have Electrokristron inverter interface module, which connects the automatic changeover to your inverter, so that as soon as your inverter batteries begin to run low, dangerously low, then the automatic changeover will command your generator to start running. In other words, it will start your gen so as to charge your inverter batteries. Normally, if you connect an automatic changeover directly to an installation where you already have an inverter, the automatic changeover will not allow your inverter to operate, because the moment power fails, the moment mains fails, your automatic changeover will start your generator immediately, because that is part of the internal functions. But with the help of the inverter interface module, the inverter interface module would place the automatic changeover AutoStart command on hold while it monitors the inverter batteries to see whether they need, whether they are active, whether they are good enough to run, until such a time when they now need to be recharged, that the command will be given to start the generator. So I might not be able to explain better now because you don't have the video yet, but when you have the video, then of course you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. But in the meantime, you can call in or write us to find out more about our products and services. Thank you and God bless. Bye for now.